Hi guys, this is Kat here from Sapphire and Stone Photography. I wanted to jump on here quickly and show you how I took this photo of my son and our little kitty. So I'll show you the actual settings for this one. This is just with a 5D Mark III. It's at 125 f-stop 2.8 ISO 200, and I shot this with my Sigma Art 35mm. Basically to the left of him, or to his right, there is a half window, and the sun was, I would say, on its way out because it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is north facing. Pretty irrelevant information, but sometimes people like to know all those things. So that was the before, and this is where I got to. So that's what I'm going to show you how I edited this one with one of my presets. So if I reset this one, I'll show you basically how I went about it. So I have got my own little presets that I have made here depending on the session. I'm sure a lot of photographers do similar things. This one I've called Vintage Luxe, but it just is lacking the pop that I want. So what I do with this one is I wanted to reduce this exposure here. It's just a little bit too much for how I like it. That looks good to me. So that's 0.26 in exposure. The contrast, I will probably reduce that as well, just to give his face a softer look. And then the highlights, reduce that slightly. What I'm going to do is I'm also just going to grab the brush, and London here needs a little bit of a pop. So I would just brush onto where I would like that to happen. And what I will do is I'll update the shadows. So just open that up a little bit so you can see his fur, or her fur. And then we're going to go to contrast. Make that a little more rich. Blacks I would bring down. I'm going to increase the texture, the clarity, and dehaze. I really like this new dehaze tool. It's pretty much what I would do with London. And what I'll do is I'm going to zoom in on the eyes. I want to make them sharper. So again, just with the brush, I just simply brush that onto his eyes, both at the same time. And I will go down to my sharpness tool and bring that up. I also do this in Photoshop as well. That's pretty much all I would do for that. I would probably increase my warmth, just like that. Let's have a play, you know. Bring the whole image. I think it's looking just, to me, it looks a little green. Make that magenta. Just gonna bring that up slightly, find the right spot. So yeah, I really obviously don't have like this is exactly how I do it. I just sort of wing it as I go, depending on the image and what I want to stand out. So I'd love his hair to look a little sharper, a little more golden. He's got like a walnut-y golden hair, and I think that if we just increase the warmth on that, will really show probably more true to color, true to life. Increase the contrast and add some texture back in. I want that to be a feature. So now what I would do with this image is I would actually edit that one in Photoshop. So once that gets brought in, I can show you what I would do there. But there, I like to add elements just to break up the image. So there's a bit of velvet there. You know, we've got an orangey colored cushion behind, but I didn't want it to look completely orange. Like I didn't want everything to look a one-tone image. So let's just zoom in, just add a new layer. Now I'm just going to reduce. There was a little tiny little skin imperfection there that I know he would probably want me to remove out. So let's just grab that. My computer is a little slow today, a little laggy. So I just remove that out. That's what happens when you hit nearly 12 and your skin starts to change. There we go. All right, so you can see his eyes. To me, they're not sharp enough. So I will flatten that completely. Where did you go? I will flatten that completely. And then grab the lasso tool, quick selection. Make sure that you are up in the add. I mean, there is multiple ways that different, editors choose to do this. I mean, you can always just, quickly use your sharpness tool here, but what I like to do is I like to just grab the eyes and then create them in a new layer. And when I'll go up to image, I will go to adjustments, and I sort of go a mixture between shadows, highlights, and brightness contrast. So sometimes the brightness contrast is just what I need. So if I add, you can see what happens to it. Obviously I'm not going to leave it like that, but I'll add a little bit there and up the contrast a bit. So there, I'm happy with that. So you can see before and after. It just gives it a little pop, just draws your attention to his eyes. Again, I'll flatten these layers as I go. Hurry up, grab a new layer. And then as you can see, we've got the sharpen tool selected as well. So I will brush over that one again. Any little features that I see that I would like to pop slightly. He needs to drink more water, I keep telling him, but I do love his chapped little lips. And then, so London needs to have her eyes sharpened. The whiskers, they're more out of focus, but you can see that you have her ear on the same plane as what Blake's face is. So you are going to have that part in focus as well. I'm shooting at the aperture that I shot at. So I will just add little bits and pieces here. So let's just have a pull back of this and see what that looks like to see if I'm happy with that one. And I will always, again, flatten as I go. On a PC, but I'm using at the moment is just Control Shift and E, and that always flattens it. There is a little bit of hair there that is annoying me, so I'll just quickly get rid of that. That's done. Everything else I am pretty happy with. I'm trying to think of what else I did for this particular image. Everything, always, anything I do, always heads into Photoshop, and I usually adjust the brightness and contrast. I just feel that on Lightroom just doesn't sort of cut it for me. So that's before, after. Just for some reason in my eyes it just pops it, and that's basically what I would do. Again, I would flatten it, file, and save that straight back in. And it took me such a long time at the beginning to work out how to get this image back into the Lightroom. And it was such a simple thing, and this was years ago now, but all I had to do was click save and it went straight back into Lightroom. And I'm sure any beginners out there who have the same train of thought that I had would appreciate that little tiny bit of information. So there you go. So yeah, that is my before. Come on. I'll show you the before and the after. We'll go back to this one. Before, after. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, just feel free to drop one below, and feel free to like my channel, subscribe. It would be really nice to have some followers join me along, especially now coronavirus has pretty much excommunicated us from the outside world. But yeah, thank you very much.